There are moments when pain comes not from strangers, but from someone close enough to know where it hurts most. And when it happens, the natural impulse is to react, to demand answers, to show the wound. But that is exactly what gives away power. The truth is, nothing unsettles someone more than not knowing where they stand, not knowing what you feel, not knowing how deeply they've affected you. When hurt comes your way, the most powerful response is not loud, not desperate, but calm, graceful, and confusing. When pain touches you, the first instinct is to show it, to let your emotions spill out in words, in tears, or in anger. That's the natural response most expect from you, because hurt is supposed to pull a reaction. But what if instead of giving away that reaction, you quietly pulled back? Not with drama, not with coldness, but with a gentle withdrawal of your energy. There's a difference between shutting down your emotions and pulling back your energy. One suppresses who you are, the other protects who you are. You don't need to hide what you feel inside. You just need to stop offering it as fuel for someone else to feed on. When someone expects your fire, your silence becomes the mystery. When someone expects your tears, your composure becomes the confusion. Think of it like this. Your energy is a form of currency more valuable than anything material. Every word you give, every reaction you show, every minute you invest is part of that currency. When you keep giving it away to the same place that caused you pain, you only empower what tried to break you. But when you stop feeding it, when you choose not to play in the same field of emotion, suddenly the balance shifts. You are no longer operating on their rhythm. You are creating your own. And in that moment, the one who thought they could shake your core begins to wonder why their actions didn't succeed. That wondering itself becomes your quiet victory. Pulling back your energy doesn't mean pretending you are unaffected. It means you give your heart a safe space to breathe without putting it on display for someone else to interpret. It means you stop rushing to explain yourself. Stop giving free access to your deepest feelings. Stop allowing someone else's behavior to dictate your mood. You become untouchable not because you don't feel, but because you choose not to hand over the map of your emotions to someone who doesn't deserve the privilege of navigating it. And here's the powerful part. When you redirect that energy back into yourself, you glow differently. You feel lighter because you're no longer carrying someone else's shadow. You feel stronger because your silence becomes discipline. You feel freer because you realize your emotions are yours to protect, not theirs to consume. This withdrawal doesn't look like anger. It doesn't look like punishment. It looks like peace. And nothing confuses more than peace in the face of hurt. You don't need to slam doors. You don't need to scream. You don't need to prove anything. Simply pulling back your presence, your attention, your energy speaks louder than any outburst ever could. It's in that quiet retreat that power shifts back into your hands. And once you taste that kind of strength, you'll never again feel the need to hand it away. When someone hurts you, the most expected thing in the world is your reaction. They anticipate the storm, the tears, the accusations, the heated words that reveal exactly how deeply they've touched you. That's the script they are waiting for, the scene they prepared in their mind. But imagine what happens when you don't give them that. Imagine when instead of chaos, you offer stillness. Instead of anger, you carry calm. Instead of shouting or defending, you respond with nothing but composure. Suddenly, the entire play falls apart because the role they imagined you would play no longer exists. That is the power of staying calm and unpredictable. It confuses, unsettles, and weakens the very force that tried to shake you. Calmness does not mean you feel nothing. Calmness means you've mastered the art of holding your emotions without handing them over as weapons against yourself. When you remain centered, you protect your energy from becoming someone else's entertainment. It's like refusing to dance to a tune that was designed to control you. And unpredictability is not about games. It's about refusing to be predictable in your reactions. If they expect a message, you give silence. If they expect tears, you give a smile. If they expect pleading, you give distance. This unpredictability makes them question not only what you're thinking, but also what kind of power you hold within yourself. The truth is, nothing rattles the human mind more than not knowing. When you keep calm, you rob them of the satisfaction of certainty. They can no longer point and say, "This is how much I hurt her," or "This is how she'll respond." They are left wondering, and that wondering eats at them more than any argument ever could. Your stillness becomes a mirror, forcing them to confront their own behavior without the distraction of your emotional reaction. In that silence, in that unpredictable calm, the weight of their actions grows heavier because there's nothing there to soften it, nothing there to justify it. This doesn't mean you suppress yourself or become robotic. It means you give yourself the gift of restraint. You choose to breathe when everything inside you wants to scream. You choose to hold your peace when chaos tries to invade it. You choose to respond with a serenity that feels almost unshakable. That is where real power lies, not in loudness, but in control. Calmness is a language few understand, but everyone respects. And unpredictability adds a layer of mystery they cannot decode. They cannot place you into a neat box, cannot measure your hurt, cannot decide what you will do next. This keeps you in a position of strength without ever lifting your voice. While others give away their power by reacting, you protect yours by withholding it. And when you remain calm, when you act in ways no one expects, you leave behind an echo that lingers in their mind far longer than any words ever could. There is a certain kind of power that radiates from a person who knows their worth, even in the face of pain. It's the kind of glow that cannot be dimmed by rejection, betrayal, or disappointment. When you carry yourself with self-worth, you confuse anyone who thought they had the ability to break you. Because in their mind, hurting you was supposed to shake your foundation, supposed to weaken your spirit, supposed to leave you begging for clarity or chasing after answers. But instead, you rise with dignity, you move with confidence, and you radiate a strength that whispers, "I was valuable before you, and I remain valuable after you." That radiance is what unsettles the one who expected your collapse. Self-worth is not arrogance. It's not about pretending you don't care, and it's not about building a wall so high that nothing touches you. It's about standing in the truth that your value is not determined by how someone treats you. When you believe in your worth, their actions may sting, but they do not define you. That separation is where your power begins. They might have imagined you questioning yourself, doubting your beauty, your charm, your place in their life. But instead, you walk with the same grace, the same confidence, as if nothing in you was ever shaken. And that is deeply confusing because they cannot understand how their attempt to wound did not succeed. Radiating self-worth means you do not shrink to fit someone else's comfort, you don't beg to be seen, you don't prove yourself, and you don't chase validation. You simply exist in your natural light, refusing to let anyone dim it. Every step you take with confidence, every smile you wear that isn't broken, every gesture that shows you still see yourself as enough, it all becomes a reflection they can't ignore. It forces them to question why their actions didn't destroy you, why you still stand strong, why you still carry yourself like royalty when they tried to reduce you to pieces. The beauty of self-worth is that it speaks without words. It shows up in the way you enter a room, in the way you laugh without hesitation, in the way you refuse to let bitterness touch your spirit. It is a kind of armor, but not the heavy kind that weighs you down. It's light, it's graceful, and it's radiant, and when you wear it, you are untouchable. They can try to figure you out, but what they'll really discover is that your strength does not come from them. It comes from within. Nothing confuses someone more than realizing they never had the power they thought they had. When you radiate self-worth after being hurt, you show them exactly that. They thought they were holding your world in their hands, but they see now that your world is held within yourself. And that revelation is the most powerful, most beautiful kind of confusion you could ever create. When hurt tries to claim space in your heart, the most powerful thing you can do is Shift your focus away from the source of that pain and pour it into the things that bring you alive. Instead of sitting in the shadow of what happened, you step into the light of passions, friendships, goals, and joys that remind you of who you were before the wound. This redirection is not about denial, it's about refusing to let pain become the center of your story. The moment you stop revolving around what broke you and start revolving around what builds you, you create confusion for the one who thought they had taken your joy. They expected your days to be consumed with thoughts of them, with longing, with endless questioning. But when you show up smiling, laughing, living, creating, thriving, you prove that your happiness was never tied to them. That is the deepest form of liberation and the most silent form of revenge. Engaging elsewhere means you give your energy to places that deserve it. You nurture friendships that bring warmth to your spirit. You throw yourself into passions that once made you lose track of time. You explore new experiences, new spaces, new dreams that remind you life is far bigger than one person's behavior. Each step you take into joy confuses the one who thought you'd remain stuck in sorrow. They expected to see you frozen, but instead they witnessed movement. They thought you'd be lost in grief, but instead you are found in growth. That shift unsettles them because it strips them of the imagined control they believed they had over your happiness. There's a quiet beauty in showing that your life did not pause for pain. You continue to bloom in places they thought you'd wither. You create moments of laughter with others while they imagined you drowning in solitude. You shine in the very spaces they believed you'd fade. This does not mean you never felt the sting. It simply means you refuse to give the sting the power to poison your future. And that choice is not only healing for you, but also confusing for the one who thought their actions had the ability to define your days. Happiness that grows from within is the kind of happiness no one can steal. When you engage elsewhere, you build an inner world so rich, so full, that outside forces lose their ability to shake it. You remind yourself that life still offers beauty, that laughter still exists, that passion still ignites, that love still surrounds you. That glow becomes undeniable, and it speaks louder than any words you could say. It tells the story of resilience, of strength, of refusal to be broken. And when they see that story playing out in your life, the confusion lingers, because nothing unsettles someone more than realizing their attempt to hurt you only pushed you closer to your own joy, your own power, your own freedom. When hurt finds its way to you, the easiest reaction is to mirror it, to throw back anger, bitterness, or coldness in the same measure it was given. But true strength is not in matching pain with pain. It is in rising above it with a kind of grace that is untouchable. When you choose to respond with kindness, not weakness, you disarm the situation completely. This does not mean allowing someone to walk over you, nor does it mean ignoring your own dignity. It means you handle what was meant to harm you in a way that reveals just how much control you have over yourself. Kindness in the face of hurt confuses, because it's the last thing anyone expects. They thought you'd collapse, lash out, or fall apart. Instead, you stand steady, and your gentleness becomes the sharpest edge. Kindness here is not about pleasing others. It is about protecting your peace. When you respond with calm words instead of anger, with respect instead of spite, you show that you are governed by your own values, not by someone else's behavior. That kind of self-control is rare, and it makes people wonder where your strength comes from. It shifts the power away from them and back to you. Because the truth is, the moment you let someone's actions dictate your reactions, you hand them the keys to your emotions. But when you choose kindness, you are showing that no matter what is done to you, you remain the one in control. Weakness bends under pressure, but kindness stands firm. Weakness accepts disrespect in silence, but kindness speaks without cruelty. Weakness hides behind fear, but kindness moves with courage. When you embody this distinction, it becomes clear that your grace is not compliance. It is command. You are commanding yourself, your energy, your choices, and refusing to be dragged into a storm that was designed to make you lose yourself. This is what confuses the one who tried to hurt you. They cannot understand why you are not bitter, why you are not broken, why you are not begging. Kindness leaves no cracks for assumptions. If you scream, they can say you are emotional. If you chase, they can say you are desperate. If you beg, they can say you are dependent. But when you carry yourself with kindness, they are left without a label to pin on you. You become unrateable, untouchable, and that mystery unsettles them more than any fight ever could. There is a certain elegance in responding softly where hardness was expected. It shows that you have mastered yourself, and in mastering yourself, you create the deepest kind of confusion. Because nothing shakes a person more than realizing their attempt to wound you only revealed the strength and serenity they never had. And that strength, wrapped in kindness, becomes the quiet answer to everything left unsaid. Mystery has always been one of the most powerful forms of strength, and when someone hurts you, it becomes your greatest weapon. The natural instinct is to explain, to justify your silence, to make them understand why you are pulling back. But every time you explain, you give away a piece of your power. Every time you reveal your next step, you allow them to prepare for it. The real strength lies in moving quietly, in choosing not to reveal the depth of your feelings or the reasons behind your actions. When you are mysterious with your moves, you create an uncertainty that unsettles anyone who thought they understood you completely. They search for answers in your silence, but the silence keeps shifting, offering no clear path, no obvious reaction, and that confusion becomes louder than anything you could ever say. Mystery is not about playing games. It is about protecting your inner world. It means you do not broadcast your pain, you do not announce your healing, and you do not reveal your intentions. You let your distance speak, you let your peace echo, you let your absence carry weight. This lack of explanation leaves space for their mind to wander, and the human mind cannot stand uncertainty. They begin to wonder if you are hurt or healed, if you are waiting or moving on, if you are silent out of strength or indifference. That wandering is powerful because it turns their focus inward while you remain untouchable. Every action you take becomes amplified when you are mysterious. If you stop reaching out, they cannot tell whether you are too hurt to speak or too free to bother. If you laugh in public, they cannot decide if it is genuine joy or deliberate resilience. If you glow brighter, they question whether it is natural or intentional. That inability to read you creates a restlessness inside them. They thought they could predict your every move, but now they are left grasping in the dark. And in that darkness, the balance of power shifts. You become the question, not the answer. Being mysterious also protects your healing. It allows you to process in silence, without interference, without judgment, without the weight of someone else's curiosity pressing against your wounds. It gives you room to decide what you want without feeling the need to explain why. In that silence, you are free. And freedom always confuses those who thought they had control. The beauty of mystery is that it requires nothing dramatic. You don't need to perform, you don't need to show, you don't need to prove. You simply stop offering clarity, and the lack of it becomes its own kind of statement. The more they wonder, the less they know, and the less they know, the more power you hold. That is the secret. Confusion is not created by noise, but by silence. And when you master the art of being mysterious with your moves, you ensure that no one can ever fully hold your power again. Silence, calm, confidence, joy, kindness, and mystery. Together they form a shield no one can break. When you respond this way to hurt, you no longer live as a reaction to what was done to you, but as a reflection of who you truly are. You show that your peace is not for sale, your worth is not negotiable, and your happiness is not tied to anyone's actions. You confuse not by playing games, but by refusing to be predictable, refusing to be broken, refusing to hand over your power. And in that refusal, you rise higher. The one who tried to wound you is left with questions, but you are left with freedom. And that freedom is the most beautiful answer of all.